Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. It is Vlogmas Day 2 and it is 8 o'clock at night. Santa, tell me if you're really there. Don't make me fall in love again if you won't be. So this year for Vlogmas, I kind of want to do the same thing I did last year, which was do vlog style content, but also sit down videos that kind of help you guys get to know me a little bit better. And so I thought, what better way to get to know each other than to put on our comfiest little Christmas pajamas. Mine are from Aerie 2 years ago, and they are like some of my favorite pajamas. Look, they have like the little Grinch, Cindy Lou Who, Max. So cute. Like, I am obsessed, and they're comfy and cozy. And let me see if I can get the shorts so you can get like the full picture. So they're like shorts and they're ruffle at the bottom. They are so freaking comfy. But I threw these on. I have my skincare headband on, so we are gonna do our skincare together, get ready for bed, and I'm just gonna go through my entire infertility journey from start to finish. Somebody's car was just going crazy. Last time I did a full in-depth sit down type of update on our infertility journey was back in March when I had my HSG done. Well, obviously that was like 9 months ago. So if you see Wade in the background, he is being a wonderful husband. Let me tell you, I have like 6 loads of laundry that I've just been like cleaning and then throwing into baskets. He's putting them away for me, which is great because this week not only has, you know, it been a hard week just in terms of everything we're going through, but also it's on top of that been finals week because of course, when it rains, it pours, of course. And so I just have not been on top of the housework at all. I was actually gonna take like Friday to like deep clean the house, and I was like thinking about that freaking laundry, and I don't have to because he's doing, I mean, we still have, don't get me wrong, we still have like 2 or 3 loads that I need to wash. So I'll be putting those away, but he's doing the bulk of it. So God bless a good husband. But okay, let's talk about our infertility journey thus far while we do our skincare. I'm gonna show you every product I'm using, and this is usually the products I use every night. So first off, I like to alternate between these 2 face washes. So they're both Youth to the People. Absolutely love Youth to the People. The one that I use on an everyday basis and I use this morning and night is the Green Tea Spinach Vitamins Superfood Cleanser. So it is this one. This is probably their most known cleanser. It is amazing. It's super gentle on the skin. So if you're like me, you have eczema, it's amazing. And then I also like to go in a couple times a week with this one. This is their papaya plus vitamin C, ginger root, lactic acid. It exfoliates, it brightens, and it's also a superfood cleanser. However, once a week, especially when my face is starting to feel super dry like it is today, I like to go in with the Saturday Skin. This is the Rub-a-Dub refining, it's not a face mask. It says it's a refining pill gel, but it's more of like a face cleanser. So you sit for like a minute and kind of exfoliate it into your face. You can literally feel the dead skin just like cleansing off your face. It's amazing. So that's what we're going to use tonight. Okay, so first things first, we have to start at the very beginning. So Wade and I actually started dating in May of 2020. And I'm not kidding y'all when I say by July we got a positive pregnancy test, and it wasn't anything that we were planning for, obviously. Like, we had only been dating for a month or 2. So obviously at the time, that is not something that we were planning at all. We were both like 22 years old, so we just weren't using our heads, if I'm being honest. And also, if I'm being honest, and this is just me being like super raw and just like super genuine about this, but my whole life I've had this like fear, and I know a lot of women who have the same fear, but I've had this fear that like I just couldn't get pregnant. There's obvious reasons why we think that, right? Like, you know, like maybe like we're not careful most of the times and it never happens, so we're like, what the heck, like maybe I just can't get pregnant. So I think in the back of my mind, since I was probably like 17, I've had that thought of like, okay, well maybe I just can't get pregnant. And so I honestly wasn't thinking anything of it. And then there was one day where I just noticed, I was like, wait a minute. First of all, my period, it's never been super normal, which we'll get to that later on in the story because eventually I do find out I have PCOS, but that didn't happen until way later on. So my period has never been like super normal, but usually I would just chalk it up to like, okay, whatever, who wants a period anyways? Like, when you're younger, not getting a period, honestly, not the biggest thing in the world. Like, it should be something that we look at. So if you are a young girl and you're watching this, and like you haven't got your period in a while, please talk to your parents, consult your doctor. Even if you're someone who, you know, is a little older like me and you haven't got your period in a while, don't see it as something where it's like, I'm just happy I don't have to deal with that. Please consult your doctor because something's not right. So I just like kind of brushed it off, didn't really think about it, but I noticed that like I just wasn't feeling good at all. Like I was feeling off. And so I'm like, okay, just for like, you know, shits and giggles, like I'm gonna take a test and we're gonna see. Well, I took multiple tests. And my thing is, even now in our fertility journey, if a digital test doesn't say that I'm pregnant, then I won't believe it, right? So we got a digital yes, and I almost fell out on the floor. I was like, oh my God. And I think at the time, we really didn't tell many people. Obviously now that it's happened, you know, a lot, mostly everyone in our life knows. But then I think that I had maybe only told my best friend, he told his best friends, and then we told his brother. I think actually his older brother is like the first person that we told. And so for like a good week, like we were in bliss. Like, were we scared? Yeah, obviously. We're two 22-year-old kids. Obviously we're terrified, but we both have kind of always had the mindset about like, oh, we're gonna make it work, like we can do this, we're gonna figure it out. And so that's kind of where we were. And then about a week and a half later is when I miscarried. So it was like very short-lived, not something that I even had time to really process before, you know, I was miscarrying. And at the time, again, I just wasn't being proactive and thinking much about my reproductive health or my health in general. I'm not gonna lie, I was not thinking about my health in general. And so whatever, we just like moved on from it. Honestly, it wasn't really something that like, you know, I wanted to go in and have testing done to figure out, well, why did that happen? Like we just let it go and we moved on. And that was that. Obviously it still hurt. I remember like a week after it happened, like every single day I was like crying myself to sleep. It was like one of the hardest things we've ever been through, obviously, but we moved on. And then at that point, about 2 years later, we got engaged, and so we started focusing on planning our wedding and all that stuff. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I really want to be a mom. Like now that I knew that like I could get pregnant, I'm like, oh my God, like I want to be a mom. So we actually started trying before we even got married. It was kind of just something that like, I was just like, listen, I think that, you know, this is something that we should do if like you're okay with it. So like a few months before, so I know I always get a lot of questions from people and they're like, wait a minute, did y'all start trying before you got married? Because the amount of months that we've been trying is like more than what we've been married. And the answer is yes. And I don't really see anything wrong with that because again, I knew something kind of wasn't right with my body. So I was like, you know, the more time we have to try, the better, because it's like more information I could take to a doctor when we finally do go, is what I thought. So fast forward, obviously we get married in September of 2023. We go on our honeymoon, whatever, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all, we were like super optimistic that we would be like those people who got pregnant like first try. Like I was convinced. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the CeraVe Hydrating Hyaluronic Acid Serum. I love this stuff, so I do quite a bit. But going into the first month of trying and then getting those negative results, I wasn't like too torn up about it because I'm like, okay, it's the first month. It's not super common that people start trying and on their first month they get pregnant. So I honestly didn't think too much of it. I'm like, okay, we're gonna keep trying. It is what it is. So we're going into like month 6. So those first 6 months of trying, I was noticing that one, I was not getting my period regularly. Like when I was going back through my apps to kind of see like how those periods were flowing, I would have a period every like 46 to 70 days. So obviously that's quite a bit of time to be waiting to have a period. So within the first 6 months, I would say we probably only had about 2 to 3 cycles that were like valid cycles of trying. And even when we did have those cycles where we were trying, I was either getting like very abnormally like heavy periods, or I was getting very abnormally light periods. And on top of that, I do not think I was ovulating now that I know what I know. So yeah, the first 6 months definitely was really hard because we were so optimistic. And I know anyone who has been there before, like, you know, that first 6 months is when you have like the most hope and you're like, oh, surely it's gonna happen this month, surely it's gonna happen this month. Well, I kind of knew in the back of my head that there was a chance it wasn't gonna happen because, like I said, within a 6 month period, I had like 2 to 3 cycles that we actually had like the chance to try because I just wasn't getting my period. And when I was, it just didn't seem normal. I'm gonna go in with the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow AHA Night Treatment. I love this stuff. I love any skincare that has like a good slip to it because it really feels like it's getting in there. Like, look at the slip on this. It's so, I don't even know if y'all can tell, but like, oh my gosh. I love this stuff. I'm so sad I'm almost out. I'm gonna have to put this on my Christmas list. But going into months 6 through 12 of trying, I remember telling myself I needed to go to the doctor, but I don't think we went to the doctor until we had officially been trying for a year, because I remember researching it, and a lot of fertility clinics, a lot of OBs, they won't start doing intervention until you've been trying for a year. However, if you have something like PCOS or endometriosis, there are actually a lot of OBs who will start doing intervention at 6 months. However, because I wasn't taking my health like seriously at this time, and you know, I wasn't going to get checked out, I didn't know this. And my doctor was like, whenever we finally did go, she's like, I could have helped you 6 months ago. And it's like, okay, well, I didn't know that. So for anyone who doesn't know that information, that is something to look into. I've heard some people say that their doctor, because they knew they had PCOS or because they knew they had like endometriosis, they saw them when they first started trying. They didn't make them waste any time. So if that is something that someone's going through, please look into that. But months 6 through 12, again, a lot of just being hopeful and being like, okay, it's gonna happen. And then it didn't happen. So we finally were like, okay, we're gonna go to the OB. This was my first time, y'all. My first time ever going to an OB's office. I was so nervous. Again, I strongly recommend your first time going to the OB not being when you're like 24, 25 years old. Please take your fertility health seriously, your reproductive health seriously, because there are a host of other things that the OB can help you diagnose that is not just fertility based, like ovarian cancer or even just breast cancer. They do screenings for that as well. So please just take your health seriously. It's definitely something I wish I had done a lot sooner, because we've gotten not only valuable information just about, you know, fertility and how to get pregnant, all those things, but also just being able to track my health through my PCP and my OB has been everything. So that is definitely something, that's my like warning to younger women, is don't be scared. These doctors are there to help you, and honestly, it's not as scary as you would think. I was so nervous for my first appointment, and it went so smooth. It didn't hurt as much as I thought it would hurt. It was great. Okay, I'm gonna go in with my CeraVe Skin Renewing Night Cream. If y'all see me put an abnormal amount of this on my face, it is because it is cold outside and my eczema is just going crazy, especially here around my mouth. So I have to moisturize quite a bit before I go to bed. But anyway, so at month 12 or 13, we finally went and we went to the OB, and I got so lucky, y'all. When I tell you, well, okay, actually first we went to an OB that is about an hour and a half away from us. She was really sweet, she was really kind, but I just didn't feel like she was the fit for me. On top of the OB being like an hour and a half away, I wanted something that was closer, because I just knew in my heart that we were gonna have to be going to quite a few appointments, so I didn't want to have to drive an hour and a half every time I wanted to go to an appointment. I remember at that appointment though, she started the initial blood work to kind of get me diagnosed with PCOS. So I do give a lot of credit to her on that front, because she was the one that mentioned it, and she was the one that said, hey, according to everything you're telling me, according to what I'm seeing, I think you may have PCOS. And so when she mentioned it, that's when my PCP started running a lot of blood work to see. That's when my OB that like I have now started running blood work and different tests to see. And so she was very helpful. It just wasn't a match, which it's okay to like not be a match with a doctor. But because of that, I found my OB, which I want to say current OB, but she retired. So as of right now, they kind of put like our caseload off on a different OB at the same doctor's office. But my OB that I had for like the last year and a half, 2 years, she was so amazing. Like, I loved her with my whole heart. She made me feel really comfortable, and she didn't really push anything on us either, which I really appreciate it. So we were going to her for about a year. We started doing medicated cycles. So we started our medicated cycles with letrozole. Like I told you, they ran the blood work with my PCP, my OB, and we did confirm that I had PCOS. So I was not ovulating like at all, which explained why I wasn't getting regular periods. It explained why when I was bleeding, it was either like just like abnormally heavy bleeding or I was like spotting, I was not ovulating. And so it was so nice to be able to get that information, because to me it was like, okay, this makes sense. It's not that we've wasted the last year of trying, it's just that we didn't know, like we didn't have the right information that we needed to like know what was going on. So finding out I wasn't ovulating was everything. So we started out with 2.5 milligrams of letrozole. I'm gonna tell you, even on 2.5 milligrams of letrozole, I was miserable. The symptoms from letrozole for that 5 days that you're taking it, they are very intense. I was very tired. I was very moody. I was crying a lot. I was cramping really bad. I was bloated. I wasn't hungry. It was just a whole thing. Like, I remember ending my days off at 4:30 and being absolutely exhausted and going to bed every day at 6 o'clock for those 5 days a month that I was taking my letrozole. So even on the 2.5 milligrams, then we went up to 5 milligrams, and then we went up to 7.5. 7.5 was the freaking worst, obviously, but it didn't really matter what my dosage was. I was miserable on all 3 dosages, so it didn't matter. So we did about 7 medicated cycles until we decided about 2 months ago that we were going to take a break from the medicated cycles just to see if my body was officially ovulating on its own, because I actually lost naturally, or not naturally. I was on a GLP-1. I'm actually about to go back on the GLP-1. We'll get into that. But I started a GLP-1 because my PCP said she thought it would be something that would help me lose weight. And then because of that, I would start ovulating on my own naturally. And so I'm like, okay, let's try it out. It was also used to treat my PCOS because I have insulin resistant PCOS. So I was like, okay, let's try it out. Well, I've lost over 60 pounds. So we wanted to take a break from the letrozole and see if my body was doing what it needed to do without the letrozole. I am so happy to say for the last 2 months, I have ovulated on my own. So that has been a blessing. And I really do accredit that to me like losing weight and completely changing my diet. So I'm very, very grateful for that. But with that being said, obviously we're not doing medicated cycles right now. So where are we in our journey? That is a question that a lot of people have been asking me, because it just seems like we're kind of at like a standstill. I'm gonna go in now. This is one of my absolute favorite products. I'm using the Youth to the People Super Berry Hydrate Glow Dream Oil. Again, I have like very chronically dry skin. This stuff hydrates my skin so well. And I know it's a dream oil. Is this even focusing? I'm like, here, look at it. I don't even know if it's focusing. I know it's a dream oil, but I use it in the morning and at night because I just love it so much. But anyways, so where are we now in our journey? That is the biggest question that I have been getting asked, because honestly, for a minute, it kind of felt like I didn't really know what we were gonna do. About 4 or 5 months ago, we were referred over to a fertility clinic, which was so great. I was so excited to finally get that referral and to be able to start with them. Our endocrinologist, she is so kind, and I was nervous because I was watching like a lot of different people's experiences with going to their endocrinologist for the first time, and a lot of girls were saying that like their doctor like immediately started trying to push IVF on them. Like there was no other solution. They're like, immediately go to IVF, do IVF, that's your only chance of having a kid. Our endocrinologist, she is like the complete opposite. I can tell that she doesn't want us to do IVF. I can tell that like that's like her last stage effort. Like she doesn't want us to go straight to IVF, because when we had our first initial meeting, she was asking kind of like where we were and what we thought we should do. And I brought up IVF, and she's like, I would really prefer to do some monitored cycles first, and then maybe a couple rounds of IUI. And then if you still feel like you need IVF, which she was like, I don't think you will, because I think you'll be able to get pregnant without it. But she's like, if you still feel like that's something you want to do, we can move on to that. And me, I'm like super stubborn sometimes. However, just by her like demeanor and just how it genuinely seems like she wants to help us, I trust her. And so I have decided that like, or we, not I, it's not just about me, it's what me and Wade have decided. But he's kind of just like, whatever you want to do, babe, I'll do it. But we decided that we were going to hold off on IVF. So I think right now the timeline for IVF if we were to do it. It probably wouldn't be until late spring of next year. But as of right now, we decided to take like a 2-month break off of doing any medications or tracking or anything like that, and kind of just enjoy the holidays. So we didn't take any medication, do any medicated cycle. We didn't do that last month. And then this month we are not going to do a medicated cycle. And I'm also not going to track. So I'm not doing any ovulation testing. I probably also won't start early testing for pregnancy. I'll probably wait until my missed period, if, fingers crossed, if I miss my period. And then I'll start testing. I just want 1 month where like everything doesn't feel like a science experiment, and it doesn't feel like I'm constantly having to like monitor and schedule everything. I just want 1 month where like that's my reality, because I feel like that's how it should be. And it sucks that for a lot of our journey it hasn't been like that. So as of right now, we are currently on a 2-month break from like all the tracking. Obviously we're still trying, okay? I'm never not gonna say we're not trying, because if you're not preventing, then you're trying. And that's just how I feel. Like if you're not doing any form of birth control, then you're trying to get pregnant. I don't know. So we're not like preventing, but we're not actively like, you know, testing and like obsessing over my charts or like tracking my BBT. We're not doing all that. We're just trying to go with the flow and just like enjoy everything. And then we'll pick back up in February if nothing has happened, or, you know, nothing new has transpired. We'll pick back up in February, and I will probably be going back on letrozole. But I think my endocrinologist said she also wants to do Clomid in combination with letrozole. I'm pretty sure that's what she said. I could be wrong. It could be a different medication, but I'm pretty sure those are the two she wanted to do. And then also, because I just completely forgot, that we have also done an HSG. I can't believe I forgot that. We did an HSG in March. The most painful experience I've ever gone through. It was, honestly, not only was it painful, it was also kind of traumatic, because it was like one of the only procedures that I've done so far where Wade couldn't be in the room. There was a nurse in there with me, and I got to like hold the nurse's hand and like cry to the nurse. But it was still kind of traumatic, because it was just like a really painful procedure, and I wish that Wade could have been there with me. It just would have made it a lot better. And I was hoping and praying that we never had to do one of those again. But when we got the HSG done, they did come to find that I do have one blocked tube, which, you know, one blocked tube is a hell of a lot better than both blocked tubes. You can still get pregnant having one tube that's blocked. So I haven't really let that like deter me from anything. However, it does mean that if we do get pregnant, immediately we do have to go in, and they have to make sure that the pregnancy is in the right tube, because if it's in the tube that's blocked, my doctor said there is a chance for I think she said an ectopic pregnancy, either that, or she said like an abrasion or something. But there's a chance that I could completely lose that tube if a pregnancy were to implant there. So it's definitely something that kind of makes me nervous to even get a positive, because I'm like, oh my god, that's terrifying. But luckily we have doctors who like, they're like very on top of everything they do, so I don't have to be like too worried, but I'm a little worried, you know. But that is something that she wants to do in February. If we are not pregnant yet, we will be doing another HSG before we start doing medicated cycles again. And then after that, in March, we will start our first round of IUI if we're not pregnant yet. So I was against doing an IUI at first, just because I've heard a lot of people say that they did like 10 IUIs and like none of them worked. And so I'm like, but I've also heard people say, you know, that they did one IUI and that was the magic trick, and then they got pregnant. So I don't know. I feel like, you know, we can't always just look at the negative experiences. We have to look at the positive as well, and then we have to take a chance. So we will be doing, at the most, I think we decided 2 rounds of IUI, and if those don't work, that's when we'll be moving on to IVF. But that is kind of where we're at in our journey. Currently, we're just taking a break. It feels nice, especially to go into the holiday season and just know that we're not stressing out about numbers and tracking and tests. It feels so freaking nice, because I can't explain to y'all how much of the last almost 3 years has been just like obsessing over getting pregnant. And, you know, obviously I still really want to get pregnant, but the last few months I have just made it a priority. It's like, don't obsess over it. Like, just live in the moment and appreciate the things that you have now. And, you know, like one day it will happen for you. And that's what I've been trying to tell myself. A lot of people always ask, you know, how do I stay positive during this journey? And I won't lie to y'all, and I will not say that it's been a walk in the park this whole time, because it hasn't. It's actually never been a walk in the park. I've had many periods of times during this whole thing where I've been extremely depressed. It's been like a chore to get out of bed, to take care of myself. I'll walk into like my guest room, because that was what was supposed to be our nursery. It doesn't look like that's gonna happen, because we do plan on moving out of here when our lease is up in a few months. But I have walked in there a few times. I'm sure I've showed y'all before, but like we have like a closet full of baby clothes and like other things. And it is hard to see that stuff, because I feel like in my heart of hearts, like I was meant to be a mom, and I feel like my husband was definitely meant to be a dad. So there are really hard days. However, I try to remind myself that those days will come, even if it's not, you know, as fast as I had hoped, or even if it's not like the journey that I had hoped it to be, because I really wanted pregnancy to be like this spontaneous thing that we could be surprised about. And I kind of feel like it's been taken away from us just a little bit. But you know, everyone's journey is different, and I tell myself all the time that at the end of this, we're gonna have such a great testimony to tell people, and also just like a really great way to give other couples who are going through the same thing some encouragement. I feel like the best form of encouragement is to hear about it from people who have actually experienced it firsthand. So I can't wait to be on the other side of that, and you know, be able to give other people experiencing the same thing just like the love, support, and inspiration that they need. So that's gonna be the highlight of all of this. But that is our infertility journey thus far. I'm just hoping and praying every day that it ends with the 2 pink lines, and I know it will. I don't know how to say I hope, because I know it will in my heart. I know it will. It's just like, when will it happen? Who knows? But yeah, that is a little bit of an update. I feel like I was all over the place, but I was just trying to get all of my thoughts out, because I feel like I get asked all the time, like, what are some things you've done? And I know there's still gonna be people who like comment down below, like, oh, tried this supplement and tried this tea and tried the... When I tell y'all, anything you're gonna comment besides doing like an IUI, IVF, anything you're gonna comment, most likely we've already done. Like, if it's something that I can just go to my local Walmart or Amazon and I can buy, girl, you better believe I already tried it. And I won't say that like nothing's worked. There's a lot of things I've tried that like they definitely make me feel better, or they're like great like supplements to have, or you know, they're great things to just make me feel better, but obviously they haven't worked in terms of, you know, getting me pregnant. But that is everything. I think watch there have been something I left out, because I'm just yapping. One thing about it is I'm gonna yap, and I was yapping. My hair is definitely ready for wash day. I think I said yesterday that I could go another week, which like I could, but do you see, like, no, she's ready for wash day. But I'm gonna go finish getting ready for bed and then spend some time with my husband. But Vlogmas day 2 is through. I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do an actual vlog. I have my math final tomorrow, so I will probably take y'all from the very start of my day till the very end of my day tomorrow, and kind of show you like what a day in my life as a full-time college student, content creator, all of those things, like what it looks like. But yeah, I'm about to get ready, go hop into bed. It's been a long day, but I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you want to. I'm not gonna make you, but I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye guys.